Hello everybody, it's me. Today I got a new video for you guys. It's nothing too crazy, I should say, but I think the pots today are beautiful. I think that my throwing just felt very purposeful. The twists today were really great. Today I have two commercials for you. I'm switching things up. I'm doing my mug video as a commercial now. And then I also am doing another one of those object history things, and so that was really nice. Still thinking about if I should switch up the pottery vlog, because these are feeling less like vlogs now. The pottery show is more like it seems like, but you know, we never know what's going to happen. But yeah, talk a lot about life and thoughts and stuff too. So, hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. All the best. Strong mentality. See you in a second. Peace. Boom. Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to change up the format a little bit. Instead of doing that mug recording at the end, I'm going to pepper it in. Love that word. Shout out to my buddy for showing me that word. He knows who he is if he ever sees it. But anyway, I'm going to pepper that in as a second commercial. So after each pot, right, I'll be doing like a small little commercial thing, right? Today's commercial is actually kind of cool. I don't know, for some reason I'll tell you guys a little story, all right? And then hopefully I can remember to cycle back to it. I already forgot what the hell I was going to even talk about. Well, anyway, I'll tell you the story. And maybe I'll get there eventually. But last night, I was sitting I sleep on a futon, right? So I was sitting on my futon, and I was looking at those mirrors that they put on the back of your door, like while you were in like college or something, or maybe even if you had one growing up, like a mirror on the back of your door when you walk in your room. Well, I was looking at that, and I was just looking at myself, and I had this overwhelming thankfulness of like my body, right? And just thankful that I have the physical ability, right, to take the things that I'm thinking about in my mind, and I can attack those things with my body, right? And I was just so thankful in that moment specifically. And I don't know if it was because like maybe I saw like some person who wasn't able to do that, right? Like I don't think it was really that, or it wasn't just, there's some feeling though that of thankfulness that really just like was vibrating through my body, right? And so I think that sort of influenced the object that I took today, and I didn't even know it until the end when I was talking, right? And you'll hear me talk about it, and I think it's like a really important part here. I gotta make sure I'm getting up on here with this. It's a really important part towards the end of that when I'm talking about like an object that had a function, and that function was destroyed somehow, right? But instead of like letting that pot just end, right? Like I wanted to take that pot just one step further to see if I could find anything important out of it, right? And then I realized that like even when I was just doing it, right, I realized that that's like the really important part, is that it's that like right when right when it's over, right? Right when it's over, you take just that one more step, right? You you say, no, not yet, not yet, right? And I think it's just that not yet, right, mentality, that if you can pitch yourself there, right, it's so important, guys. And so I was just really thankful, and I started thinking about ways I can sort of honor this experience that I'm having right now in my life, where it's like I just came out of graduate school, right? I'm doing the teaching thing for now, and we'll see where that takes me, right? But it's not like an easy thing, right? Because in my mind, I think I've like grown so much, right? Like I really think I've grown as a maker so much. I can't even believe it, right? And I just want to make, right? And so I'm very thankful that I've gotten to where I have already, just in my making skills, right? And so I want to like honor that somehow. And so when I was looking at that mirror, I kept thinking of like meditation as like a way to honor this past year of my life, right? I know it seems like kind of weird, but I do have a lot of I really do care about myself deep down, even though sometimes I'm a little bit of a masochist towards my own self. But I thought of meditation after this year would be good, and so I'm going to make like beads for every single day of this year, and I'm going to make like a little necklace, beads or whatever, of 365 beads, and I don't really know what they're going to look like yet. Maybe the beads will be thrown on the wheel, probably, right? Or maybe they'll be like shards from my tree forms or something, you know. We'll figure it out. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting so much better at these poles. But I think that it'd be such a cool thing if I can start really taking my work that I'm doing as a, like, I know it's like, some people would say like blasphemous, right? But just as a way to appreciate like my growth. And I think that's something that I think is important, is that maybe we got to start making our own little like micro beliefs in ourselves, right? And be excited about those things for ourselves, right? And so I'm thinking mine could look like maybe a style of meditation or something that I wear as like a reminder to myself of these moments that I'm excited about for my own life, right? Like I always say, there's some people in the world that never ever get to experience that sort of self-joy. And so I'm so thankful that my body and my mind have come together to allow me to experience that. Here we go, guys. We're gonna. Oh, look at that. Come on, look at that. Keep on going. A little bit farther. Yeah. There we go. Flap. Nice job, guys. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that'll be kind of a cool thing to do, because I've really been trying to figure a lot of stuff out. It's the new year today. Well, it's the 31st of December, so tonight it will be the new year. And I saw a video on Instagram, and it was like, yo, how was your my year look like in all the art that I made, right, in 2023. And then I thought about the art that I made in 2023, and holy shit, this might be the best year I've ever had in my making, in progression, in my mindset, and everything. And I didn't even realize it, just because I'm really bad at tracking time. Like I just forget to track the time. Hold on a second. Let's just well, no, we'll take this off. I was thinking that maybe I could do something with it, but kind of looked interesting. But then I had to reel myself back in there. But as far as my making goes, I really made so much, and I made so much progress. You know, I was in some shows, and that was great, and really so much happened I didn't even remember it. And I feel like as I get closer and closer to my goals, the more and more I'm gonna forget about these sort of moments. So shout out to that person making that. Just there's some artist from RISD, and she kind of makes illustration type work, like digital illustration work, and just really helped me reflect on my own time. So I appreciate that, because if I wouldn't have seen that, I don't even think I would have thought about it at all. But yeah. Anyway, working on these flaps here. I think yesterday's flaps were okay, but they were a little bit too heavy-handed. And I always think, whenever you're in ceramics, the less you touch something, the less opportunity you give it yourself to mess up, right? I'm not a steady person. I got shaky hands. I'm not, my craft always seems to suffer the longer and longer I spend with something, right? And so for me, the pottery stuff, the less I touch it, the better the stuff usually turns out, right? I don't want to mule over some idea too long, because for me, that's when everything I get taken out of certain moments, right? Sometimes when I'm in the moment, right, in that sort of zone, in that zone, I'm totally in that zone. I'm not anywhere else except there, right? And so the longer I spend with an object, the more opportunity I'm giving myself to get myself out of that zone, and to get the poor quality, no fuck-ups ability to manifest, right? So here's number one. I'm going to go cut to that short right now, so I'll see you guys in just a second. Hello everybody, it's me. I'm back again with another pottery video today. And today, what did I do there? Sorry, I thought it looks here I tried to fill it with a silver or something, right? Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Looks like I tried to fill it in with a silver. You can see it's shining a little bit, but it's actually just the crystalline glaze that's on the interior of this pot. I don't know if you can really see. You can maybe see some of the small crystals here. But this cracked, right? And that leads me into what these two objects are, right? And I was making a series of cups, and this is back when I was really trying to figure out, what is my distinctive cup form, right? What is a cup form from the Pottery Demon look like, right? Is it just like a normal like cup like this, right? Is it some of the knob, the weird funky knob handles, you know, with the weird glaze and funky handles and spinny and twisty and round, and you know, like, is that what this is? You know, and so before I got to the knob handles, I was thinking of, and yesterday I talked a little bit about the just the idea of getting away from these strap handles, right? Like these strap handles, they look nice, they look pretty, whatever, right? But they didn't feel like they were me, right? And so I was really looking inward to try to discover something that felt like a way to address holding a hot object. I think for me, a handle has always been to literally handle something that you might not normally be able to handle, right? And so my idea is that it's a buffer between you and the beverage that's inside, whether it's a cold beverage or a hot beverage. Being able to touch a handle that isn't necessarily affected by the liquid is nice, right? And so that's when I had the idea, and this is a later edition, and so maybe you'll see some of the other editions of the pots, but this is a later edition, and the reason why this is a later edition is because I ripped this hole in it so you could actually, and that's why I brought this one out specifically, so you could see. Sorry about that, guys. But like I was saying, this is a later edition, but as you can see, your finger goes in, right? But it's not touching that liquid, right? And so you can kind of see how I'm making these and you can also notice how that's not a regular thrown shape on the interior there. And so what I've been doing for these ones is I throw a double-walled cup, right? I throw an interior and then I throw the exterior and I meet them together at this top. And right where this breaks here, right? Right where that breaks is also, right, where that was the weak point, where it connects, right, from that interior and the exterior. And it's just kind of a cool object because now the handle is no longer something that you hold with one hand, right? I guess you can hold this one with like one hand, right? But it's something that you hold, you interact with, and it's not gonna heat up your hand, right? Keeps that heat in. And so there's a double-walled cup. And that was what I was thinking, is it's the mug. And then I started seeing this interior structure, right? You can't really see, but there's a lot of glaze in there that's really pretty. It's all crystalline glaze. And I was like, dang, it's literally, I'm ripping open to show you guys sort of that special part, right? The special part of this cup. And a lot of people, when they interact with these, they think that it's just one whole object. They don't even think about it being its own object, right? They're no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Not that it's its own object, that it's hollow, right? That it's that double walled, right? And so I wanted to show people that and emphasize it with that crystalline glaze, that flashy glaze, right? Light catches on those crystals sometimes really pretty. That's why I thought that top was like silver. I was trying to fill it, right? And so that was my way of dealing with it, right? And then I thought about, well, you know, how am I going to do it? Like, for example, I'll show you guys this cup. This isn't one that I threw, but this is one of my old professors. He did a trimmed it really nice, right? A nice foot trimmed, right? And I was like, well, I freaking hate trimming, so how am I going to make the bottom of this, right? And that's when I had the cool idea. What if I make it hollow? So I literally flip them upside down, right? And I throw this bottom and close it and then push it in. And so it's a hollow knob on the bottom as well. So it's a hollow knob foot with a hollow double-walled object. So it's a double wall. Really cool objects that I was making. I really think that these would do insanely well if I just made more of them, actually. I had a lot of problems with it breaking, and you can see they almost look inflated on the interior, right? And so what I realized is once I close this thing and the air is trapped without this rip in it, and I start pushing outward in it, it creates this undulations, and what happens is the air starts throwing the pot itself and creating these cool shapes. Some of them are really interesting. Maybe you'll see, this one is unglazed on the inside, but you can see that they're two sort of similar but different shapes on the inside there, right? And I just love the way that these pots looked, that you looked like they were like puffed up, right? And so I did some variations. You can see on this one, I was like trying to experiment with like these little slip making marks on here, and I thought they were nice, but they really didn't do it for me on a lot of them. Like they didn't, I think after I was done with them, I looked at it and I said that half of them were acceptable, you know, like I was kind of just taking a little, like a syringe full of slip and kind of trying to spray it on there, and it was a little bit too like modern art aesthetic, right? But anyway, the reason why I actually just wanted to show this object today, and not really this one, but this one, I wanted to give you guys context, right? So I set that aside for now, and if I need to come back to it all, I will. But I had a lot of problems. Okay, I'm already coming back to it. This bottom sometimes would blow up, right? You can almost see it starting to crack, like right in this area. Maybe you can't see it, it's kind of hard to see. But I had so much problems with drying and firing these cups. Sometimes this whole bottom would blast right off, right? And so every time I throw, right, I throw and there's clay left in the bottom. So what I do is I take that bottom stuff, I let it get hard, I pop it right out of the bowl, and that's what this top is. You can see that it has that shape of a bowl. And then the bowl is kind of interesting as well because it's also something I threw, right? And so something I threw created a form that I'm now using to cap off this bottom. And so I was like, you know, how this space was almost like an architectural space on the interior here, right? Like I started thinking about pots as like a home, like a space, right? Like this one, I tried to think of it more as like a landscape to work off of, right? This is the base for this landscape to happen. And on this top, you can see I have some weird glaze effect here, but you can't really even see that at all. But maybe if you can look, you can see the little purple flower, right? The little purple flower. I set some of these, that's a trimming from a different pot. And so I was like trying to stick in all these trimmings in different spots to sort of make these little moments on these mini sculptures happen, right? So it was kind of my way, like, I mean, now it doesn't really have any sort of function other than looking inflated and reducing some of the weight, right? So it's kind of a cool object in that sense, but out of all of them, none of the glazes really turned out good at all. And I was really, really devastated because I actually really like these pots, and if they turned out good, I think I probably would have made a series of them. All sort of about these little landscapes on the tops of these really elaborate pedestals that don't need to be elaborate, right? Like it's really this like kind of this funky thing where it doesn't, like I've actually grown to like things that aren't necessarily like what's the word? Aren't necessarily make sense, right? Like the object doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't need to have that double wall. It doesn't need to have that hollow foot, right? There's a lot of unnecessary things that are actually like a waste of time, right? And I would say that really, you know, a lot of the things that I do are like that. Like I think a majority of my time I'm wasting, right? But I do think that there's value in those moments, and it's really important to do it. Really, it's way more important than you would think. And so I think that's why I was so attracted to this object, right? It was something that had a purpose originally to solve some goal of trying to get rid of the handles, but it developed into something completely different. And so I hope I can revisit these one day. But thank you guys so much. I'll get back to the video in a second. Peace. Alright, now we're back. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video of me talking. I know sometimes, like this, I already can tell it's going to be a long video. That first pot took me 12 minutes because I kept getting on those little small tangents. But, you know, I think it's more important for me to just accept the way that these days go. It's also something I saw recently. It's like, it was an artist whose work and paintings are sort of all about spontaneity, right? And I saw a comment in that little section, and they were saying something like, you know, I don't really like this, because how can it be spontaneous if you have to set up the camera for a specific moment? Like, there's some level of spontaneity, but like when somebody randomly takes off their sock to dip it in paint, right? Like, it's not really spontaneous because they sort of planned to set up the thing in a certain way so they could catch them taking off their sock, right? Like, and I sort of understand what they meant, and I was like, oh wow, like, well, you know, there's something about my videos that I think is pretty good, is it really is, like, it's pretty spontaneous. Like, obviously I have some forethought on what I want to talk about specifically sometimes, but the throwing and thing is kind of just up in the air depending on how things are going to go, right? And so it's kind of a thing that I think is like my solution or my antidote to like that person's thing is, well, I'll just take you guys through my whole process, right? From start to finish, no cuts. You'll see it all. Even in my edited shorts, it's still the whole pot. Essentially, there's like maybe like 1 or 2 parts missing, right? Might just be that like whole beginning phase of me centering the clay. So then when I do the bing, bong moment, it's already there, right? But I mean, you guys have seen me do that so many times now, centering clay. It's like, it's not like I have some machine or some other like double come in. Could you imagine if like I'm just like some random dude, I'm not even like myself that's talking, like I'm over there, I'm off to the side right there talking while some random dude is just throwing for me. It's just kind of funny to think about. Okay. So this clay is not really centered, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more love on this thing to just get it ready for the... And I'm really making sure that my thumb is really pushing hard there. Because if it's not, you know, it's really going to be some trouble for me later on. So I'm going to go down here with my knuckle. And it's right against that bat there. And I'm just taking this clay right up. Against that pot. That's great, guys. Look at that. Still got some thickness on the top. I'm going to thin it out just a little bit as I'm bringing it in. I'm also going to throw this out just a smidge more. Have a nice rim there. Compress it one more time. Collar it one more time. Get some of that water on my hand. Go down the side of the wall. Feeling. Make sure it's all lubricated. Great. Make the cutoff point. All the stuff that would be trimmed off. Now I'm at an even wall thickness. I'm just pulling this up, and as I'm getting taller, I'm actually noticing the clay is actually getting a little bit thicker as I'm getting to this top. That's going to be good, because it's actually going to be the part that stretches out. And you can see I'm a little bit thin in the middle. It's starting to buckle, right? It's all good. Take some of that water out of there. There we go. I hope that my camera, I realized yesterday my camera for my GoPro was a little bit too forward facing. So there's only a couple of moments that really felt like I could use the footage, and so hopefully now it's a little bit more usable. I think I might have gone a little bit too thin. That's okay. If it rips there, it rips there. Actually, let me just hang out there for a second, and then we can start the pull. Oh, yeah, pretty thin. I might even get a tear here as I'm going up. And as I'm going up, I'm actually trying to pull it out, 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 pull it out. Right, great. So now, hopefully when I do my spin, I'm actually going to do like a little bit of a squeeze, and you can see that's already twisting it. And then I'm going to hook my fingers underneath here, and then I'm going to just take that all the way out. Spread those fingers. Great. And then I just let it collapse there. And that's how you get that really nice, drastic, even that shadow, just this little, almost looks like a UFO freaking just chilling out on the top there. It's just, I'd love to see that. And if it can stay like that, great. Chances are it's a little bit too thin, so it might rip, but clay was also thicker there, like I said earlier, so it might be just perfectly okay. I'm gonna go underneath here. I'm at 20 minutes filming, so this part was done a lot quicker than the last one, that's for sure. This one was done like 8. Not as fast as the other day. I don't know if you guys were here for that one, but the other day I freaking flew through them. It was like such a small amount of time. Alright, this other, I gotta let go a little bit. Great. So now I'm gonna cut, spin these tangles up, and we'll go call it on the next pot. But I really do, I see myself as an old guy. I always see myself in the middle of the woods. There's like, all my friends when I'm old, they're gonna think I'm dead or something. They're gonna be like, when's the last time you seen Noah? Man, I don't know, dude. He's been out in those mountains for like 4 years now, right? I think like it would be the coolest thing ever if I take my last breath, right, on a fucking wheel, right? And that's the last pot. I couldn't even finish it. Can't even fire it. Maybe an apprentice of mine one day, or somebody close to me will take my final pot and then like do something with it, or at least finish glazing it. Like I'll lay out the glaze. Like I'll make a glaze and it'll say like glaze for my final pot that I make, right? And that glaze will be in like a little bucket somewhere. And in my will, it just says, make sure you glaze that pot, right, with that glaze that I mixed for it, right? And that's it. That's all she wrote for me. I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I think that'd be like a really cool way to show myself after my whole life that what I found was valuable is what I did in the last moment, right? What would suck is if I don't know if any of you guys have been around dying people, right? But in my head, what's the worst is just being in a place that you don't really want to be in, and then you just slowly pass, right? I want to be in a place that I want to be in, doing something that I want to do. and I want to pass. And with that, I'll cut us to the next commercial here. It's going to be a mug video. Don't know what it's about yet, so I hope it's kind of cool. Maybe it'll be a God spring. Maybe relate to death in some way, like what I was just talking about. All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you in a second.
Okay, so my happiest memory is whenever I went to go visit my best friend in Florida, and we went to this freshwater springs called the Blue Hole, and it was like this 10-foot cave in the water, and it was like fluorescent blue, and it was cool, and like all these manatees just started coming out of it, and it was really fun. So yeah, pretty cool.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you guys like that. The new thing, I think putting that thing at the end is kind of a little bit weird, right? And so I think from now on I'm going to start, if I'm throwing 3 pots, maybe just have 2 commercials. But we'll see. Always trying to see what I can change, see what I can update. Makes a bunch of small changes, and eventually they'll amount to one big change, right? You won't even recognize what you've been making. And we go, right? And you see how I slowed the wheel down there too? You could hear it if you play back. I think my pedal control has gotten really good. Let's get this back down. But the one hand there, and the hammer comes down. It's not perfectly even, but that's okay. Whenever that's the case and you're worried about it being too much, start from a little bit off center and then go inward to center, right? And sometimes that can help eliminate some of those inconsistencies right on the, I don't know what you want to call it, the apex, the center point, the middle, right? Sometimes it can get a little wonky there, so start a little bit off center, then make your way back to center, and sometimes that can help you out. Alright, here we go. Alright, this one was a little bit off. I felt it really pulling on my skin, and so it's thin right in that middle section, but we'll see how we work with it here in a second here. Get my knuckle up underneath. Pull. Look at that, guys. Great. I really hope you guys can see some of these pulls on this GoPro, because I think it'd be so nice for you guys to see. I thought about having a camera straight above me, but then I realized that there's a light right above me, so that wouldn't really work out. But I do think it'd be kind of cool to see how things change from an above view. Alright, so going down to the bottom, like I said. Alright, bro. Really wanting to collapse. Come on, dog. Alright, well, let me try to thin out that top as much as I can. Maybe it'll look interesting. Alright. And like I said, throwing, it's not about For me, it's never about getting that. Oh, we totally freaking butchered this one though. Maybe not. Holy shit, hold on, just tilt that hand in the middle there. So I'm using the back of my hand as a counterbalance. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the back of my hand became the counterbalance to try to save this pot here. And we're just gonna let this twist. I do think I just need to let this one out like this. Alright. Look at that. It's like the mushroom. I mean, this is totally impromptu, right? But we kind of like this. Wow. Really been loving the twists on today's pots. Been so great. I really like the twists today. And so it was all about that quick counterbalance on that back of that hand there that really saved this pot. And then this, it must be just the top. My thing must be overheating or something. Let's give it a little touch. Oh yeah, that's like 500 degrees. Well, that's okay. It doesn't need to last the whole time anyway. Actually didn't even make sure if it was on the right setting. Maybe it was like shooting at 4K or something. Alright, so this one is also really thin. So I'm just do like a little one-hand compression here. And you know what? We're gonna do the classic. Sure. I'm just pushing these. Yeah, we kind of like this. I don't even want to touch that. I think this one has a good amount of looseness. When I was doing there with my hand, kind of felt nice too. It was like almost like I was like pulling it out and then pushing it in. So pulling it out, pushing it in. So that kind of felt pretty good. But so that's our 3 for today. You know, I hope you guys like the sort of change up on the videos here. But this one, guys, like, come on. I mean, there's something about that twist on this one that just really has some level of serious attitude to it. I'm gonna grab 3 of these bats because that seems like it's the perfect amount to elevate our pot. We're actually gonna set the tree one that we just finished first. It's the lowest one, so maybe that has some good visual weight. And then next we're gonna do the one that I feel like is gonna still rip and break and collapse, because we gotta make sure we get this one in there before. And sometimes when I'm holding it, these pots, they can get a little bit wonky because I'm just trying to hold them in an unconventional angle, right? So I think that pot can handle the least stress. Really, these pots are looking really, these past 2 days, guys, I feel so transformative about some of these pots. So I have this one right in the middle, just like that, hanging out, and I'll be there just lurking in the shadows, right in the shadows. A Neanderthal face look. There we go, guys. Alright, well, I'll set this down here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Today, you guys are only getting a single fist launch.